How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the channel and welcome to another Gotham Knights video. Now, there has been quite a bit of new information that has been revealed today. If you didn't know, there was a developer Q&A on Discord today, and a lot of people were asking questions about the game, and the developers have given us a ton of new information that we didn't know previously. So in this video, I'm going to be going over a lot of the questions and answers that were provided in this Q&A. The game releases next week on October 21st, so if you were already planning on getting the game, or maybe you were on the fence and you just wanted to know more about the game before you consider buying it, hopefully this video helps you guys out. So getting into the first question, they said, will the story be casual friendly for anybody who doesn't know anything about the Bat family and Court of Owls, while still paying homage and providing fan service for those in the know? And then the developer responded saying, we wanted to make sure that the game would deliver an engaging and entertaining experience for whatever level of previous awareness about Batman that the player brought with them. So if you're totally new to Batman or vaguely heard about him because of general pop culture, you can dive in and learn about the characters and the world as you play, with a database available with extra information. If you want it, no problem. But if you're a huge Batman fan, then you'll definitely get the deeper lore that's present throughout the game, and you'll have many opportunities to discover a lot of Easter eggs placed throughout the world and story for you to find. So that's definitely good to hear. I know a lot of people aren't very familiar with these characters. If you're not a hardcore fan of the Batman universe, then this is probably your first time seeing a lot of these characters. So it's good to know that they have a lot of lore in store for new players, and it's nice to see that they have a lot of Easter eggs and stuff for those hardcore Batman fans out there. And then the next question is, do we have to play the game 4 times as each character to get the full story? Then the response was, you can play the game fully as one character or alternate between each as you wish during a single playthrough, and you'll still get the full main story. However, each character has a story arc with multiple cinematics that is unique to them. Each character has unique lines and interactions on comms, etc. that are unique, so while you can still play the game once, if you choose to do a playthrough as a single character, you can definitely replay the game to see the variations between each, as well as experience several unique character moments and cinematics. So you can essentially play the game 4 times in a row, and you'll get different cinematics and cutscenes each time you play the game. So that sounds like a lot of replay value, so that's really cool. So the next question was, how many villain stories will we have? Is it going to be just Mr. Freeze, Harley Quinn, and Clayface, or are we potentially going to see more? Then the response was, yep, our trio of rogues gallery. I'll have some unfinished business with our heroes, but don't forget we have the Court of Owls as our main threat in the game. And with all of them running amok in Gotham, the Batman family is going to have their hands full. We put a huge effort in making these villains have their own epic character arcs, and they are pretty content heavy, so we are excited to show you our spin on these iconic villains in Gotham City without Batman. Then the next question is, will the Knights' relationship with each other develop throughout the story? And the response is, found family is one of our narrative pillars, and right from the start, our intention with the story was to really showcase how the relationships of the Knights evolve throughout the entire game in a very clear way. The Knights start from one point, having just suffered a loss. They're in mourning. They haven't all worked together recently. There's distance, some conflict, but throughout the course of the game, they sort themselves out and really start to become closer. Aside from emotional dialogue and voice performance, body language is also a huge part of how this is showcased, and that aspect of it was squarely reliant on the work of my colleague and partner in crime, Wilson. He did the cinematics and his collaboration with our actors. So the next question, is there unique lines and missions depending on who you pick, like Richard and Jason having a bit of a chit chat, or do all of them have the same lines no matter what? And the response is, each mission was written with unique dialogue for each knight, from their lines and cinematics to combat lines, general lines, and calm conversations they have in missions. They are each of them different people with different thoughts, feelings, and perceptions of what is happening throughout the game. And one of the ways we had to showcase that distinction was in their dialogue. Sometimes even the way they say no varies from character to character, and the writing team really embraced that in every respect. So the next question is, will there be any missions where it forces you to play as a certain knight or a certain character? And the answer is, we will never force you to play as a certain knight in any scenario. You are free to play everything in the game with the character of your choice. You can play the entire game with a single character, or you can change your character at any point inside the Belfry if you feel like it. So that's a huge plus. I know a lot of people have been turned off at the idea of having to play as all 4 characters. If you just want to play as Robin, then this whole game can be a game about Robin. Or if you want to play as Red Hood, or if you just want to play as Batgirl, because Batgirl's going to be the closest to being like Batman, you can do that. So I think it's really cool that you can mix and match and play the way that you want to play the game. So up next, will Alfred be playable? And then the response was, I'm going to answer this very seriously, y'all. Sadly, no. We did consider the options for this very early in production, but narratively and scope-wise, this didn't work out for us. Which realistically, it makes sense. I don't know what you could even do as Alfred other than just walk around the Belfry and, I don't know, look at things on the computer. I don't know why people expected you to play as Alfred, but there you have it. You can't play as Alfred. So the next question is, how will cutscenes play out for co-op mode? Will it show the character of whoever the host of the session is, or are users going to see their own individual cutscene depending on who they are playing as? Then the response is, we made the technical choice early on that the host version of the cinematic would be the one to play, since the host was the one driving the story progression. What that means is that playing with your buddy in co-op, you will see their version of the cinematic once it triggers it. With that being said though, we do have your co-op buddy appear at the end of the cinematic to help smooth out the transition back into the game. So if you're playing with a friend, whoever the host is, you're going to see their character in the cutscenes. So up next, is friendly fire possible in co-op? And the response is, technically there is no friendly fire. However, watch out for explosive barrels. Your co-op partner might just want to see what happens when it goes off with you right next to it. So if there's different explosions and stuff in the environment, I'm guessing if you blow up a vehicle or blow up barrels like he says here, you know, you can hurt each other that way, but you can't just straight up fight your friends in co-op. So up next, while playing co-op with a friend, say said friend is across the map and I need to do a story mission. Can I do the story mission and encounter cutscenes while said friend is still exploring across the map? And the response is, in the open world, your friend can be on the opposite side of Gotham City fighting crime and is untethered. When it comes to entering a dungeon or triggering a story cinematic in the open world, once you decide to trigger that cinematic, your friend will be teleported to you after a short countdown to make the trek back easier. I'll give you an example that you might have seen in some of the press coverage. In the Harley Quinn mission, you have an objective to go to Blackgate Prison. Both you and your friend can be fighting crime all over Gotham City, but once you decide to enter Blackgate, your friend, player 2, will be brought along for the ride since it's a story mission. So when you start up a story mission, it's going to just automatically bring you and your friend that you're playing with into said story mission. So up next is a pretty big question, and it's, is there a photo mode? And the response is, yes there is. And you'll be in for a treat with the options and filters we included for you to play around with, and we cannot wait to see what you guys do with it. So this is huge. I love photo modes in games. I like just taking screenshots and stuff. I love being able to take my own screenshots and make them my desktop images on my computer. And it's really handy for content creators when it comes to making thumbnails and stuff. So I'm really hyped for there being a photo mode, and I think that's awesome. So up next, how many skins does the Bat Cycle have? And the answer is, right now we have 3 different Bat Cycle skins, and each one has a variety of colorways that can be applied. So it looks like there's definitely going to be a lot of customization options for the Bat Cycle. So up next, we have a reference to how many suits each character is going to have. The developer said one of the key goals early on was to keep you immersed in your character throughout the game progression, and that applies to all cinematics as well. The cinematic does keep what suit you have on in-game before you trigger the scene, so you can see it in action during the cinematic. I can tell you each character suit brings a totally different vibe to the scene. Better yet, I urge you to check out how the different suits look in each of the scenes yourselves, but I have to warn you though, we have 4 characters with 16 suits each, so I'll let you do the math, and that's not including all the customization and colorways. So each character has 16 suits, and you can also change the color of a lot of the suits, and you can change the individual parts and customization of some of the suits too. So there's going to be a lot of customization to your characters in this game, and I think that's awesome. I mean, 4 characters with 16 suits apiece and being able to change the colors and different parts of the suits, that's a crazy amount of customization. So I'm all for that, and I think that's awesome. So up next is another question about the suits. Are all the outfits original, or will there be some from pre-existing shows, games, or movies? And the response is, tough to say. None are 100% direct 1-to-1 ratio of the comic/movie suit. We have a few that are heavily influenced in their look, and even our more original ones often have some comic influence in them. When starting with more comic influence, there are layers of details that are added to our models to keep them realistic and grounded in our world. We are often designing them right down to every small buckle and zipper, the texture of their fabrics, and the seams in their clothes. And then then finally, before they ended the Q&A, they posted the system requirements for PC and the minimum system specs. Looks like it's going to be 60 frames per second at 1080p on the lowest settings. So if you have a pretty basic PC, it should be able to handle it. But they didn't mention anything about consoles. I would assume that the PS5 and the Xbox Series X can also do it at 60 frames per second. But yeah, that basically did it for most of the major questions that got answered during their Q&A. We learned out quite a bit of new information, and I'm definitely super stoked to play this game when it finally comes out. It does come out next Friday, October 21st, and I cannot wait. So that is going to do it for this video, guys. If you guys want to keep up on all things Gotham Knights, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. And that is going to do it for me, everyone, and I will talk to you all in the next video.